Hello and welcome back. Today we are going to talk about fish, specifically painting fish. And what kind of fish? Crappie. I'm going to paint a pair of crappie in murky water. So let's get started. Now, when I start a painting, I start with cool colors. And when I talk about cool colors, I'm not only talking about like blue as a cool color and red as a warm color. I'm talking about each color, like blue. You'll have cool colors in the blue range and warm colors in the blue range. The same with all the colors: red, yellow. There's warm reds. There's cool reds. Yellow's the same thing. All the colors. So I'm going to start out with cool colors, and that's the way I start out most paintings because it gives a vibration, and then I go in and add warm colors later, and it vibrates between the warm and cool colors and makes the painting more exciting. So right now, and if you don't know which ones are cool and which one's warm, you can go to, I use Gamblin Paints, so you can go to Gamblin Paints, gamblincolors.com, and just Google color temperature list, and it'll give you a bunch of the different colors, and if it's a warm or cool color and all that. So that being said, I'm going to start out with some zinc white. I usually start the paintings with zinc white rather than titanium. Some cobalt teal and phthalo green, because I want this to be kind of a green, murky water. And I'm going to go in here. I sketched in a composition ahead of time. I think the composition works, but we'll see. Looks like it works to me. I don't know. If you don't like my composition after I get going, just put a comment in the comment section and just say, Dave, your composition sucks. Or you can put you can put a nice comment in there and say, Dave, that's a pretty good composition. Either way, I will respect your comment. I'm going to throw some a little bit of lemon yellow in there too, because I want some yellow. There we go. That's looking more like it. A little bit too turquoise. Let's throw a little bit more yellow in there. There we go. This isn't like ocean water. This is like murky, creek water or pond water, lake water that the crappie like to live in. Got to get the environment right. And I'm going over some of the edges in my sketch. I mean, I can put this stuff back in later, so I'm not too worried about it. I just wanted to make sure I have a kind of an idea of where everything's going. Now, I'm going to have some sunlight filtering down through the water. So I'm trying to keep my strokes kind of going at like an angled direction, because that's where my sunlight is going to go, and I kind of want to keep your eye going that direction. I'm using liquid for my medium, and I even left a little bit of mineral spirits kind of mixed in there in my brush. My brush was sitting in mineral spirits. Never cleaned it out. It's a dirty brush. I kind of like a dirty brush for the first layer of paint or the block end stage, because all the the paint that's down in the jar that I put my brush in kind of makes for a nice, they kind of mix up and make for a kind of nice neutral vibe to it or something. I don't know. And then I want to use cleaner brushes, when I do the next session, next layers and all that, because I want the color to start popping out then. Or there might be some paintings where you don't want the color to pop out so much, like a hazy, foggy day or something. If you're painting something like that, maybe you want to keep everything more subdued. And I'm also thinking about kind of thirds. I wanted this fish that I sketched in, that's going to be right here, kind of a third of the way up and a third of the way over. I'm not measuring it out exact. I'm just kind of eyeballing it in. Same with this fish that's going to turn back the other way. They're facing each other to keep your eye looking towards the middle of the painting. And my branch, I'm going to have tree branches down here in the water and stuff, and I want them directing your eye towards the fish. And they also leave negative space with triangles that kind of lead your eye back toward the fish, the fishies. Maybe I could sell this painting to like a mob guy. I could call it Swimming with the Fishes or something. If there's any mob guys out there, leave a comment in the comment section. Just like, don't tell me you're a mob guy, because I don't want to know. Just leave a comment. Just kind of do, just talk in code. I'll know it's you. Don't worry. Okay, I forgot to tell you what color am I using. I'm using transparent yellow oxide, because I'm putting some ground down here on the bottom, and I'm putting in a little bit of lemon yellow too, kind of lighten it up in areas. Because I want a little ground cover here, because I want to throw some weeds coming up too. And I'm just using the same old dirty brush. I don't care if that green mixes in with it. I'm also mixing in a little raw umber. There's going to be dark patches, light patches, all that. Okay, I want this ground to kind of fade into the back. You can't. I want it to kind of fade into the background. I don't want you to be able to tell where the end of the ground is. So we're just going to kind of blend that in. So you can't tell where the horizon line basically is because it's underwater and it's murky. So you just kind of want that to fade out. And I'm kind of putting horizontal strokes in here now that I get all that color in. Just kind of softening that up. There, now we're looking good. Now we got these, I'm looking for just big shapes now. Now I'm going to put in these, let me get some more liquid out here. And let me get some Prussian blue. All these colors are cool colors now. Prussian blue is a cool blue. And the thing I should also mention about cools and warms, the cooler colors will recede and the warmer colors will come at you. So that's what I'm doing with the vibration. I got, colors coming at you and colors receding. And you might want to be strategic about how you use that. Like if you're, I don't know, with a rounded branch, like I'm going to put it in. Right now, I'm just going to block it all in with cool colors. But later, when I put warm colors over the top of it, as it rounds, it's going to be receding away from you. So I might not want to put the warm color clear on the edge of it because it's receding away from you. If that makes sense. Now, sometimes I forget all this while I'm painting. Just like, it's hard to keep track of all this stuff in your head, but I try to pay attention to it as I paint. But for the most part, it all works out for me. And I want to keep my edges don't try to make it a hard edge on these branches because they're underwater. They're going to, the edges are going to look soft because the water distorts everything when you look through it. So just keep that in mind. And I don't necessarily like hard edges even when I'm painting just a landscape above the water either. Try to stay away from them. Sometimes I mess it up, but I'm only human. These nice big shapes blocked in here. Okay, I got kind of a little smaller stick branch or something coming off of this. We'll put that in there. A little bit wider. This kind of comes down like this. All right. Okay, now I can go look at this. I can see that this branch is supposed to connect to that, and it's a little bit too wide up here, so I need to widen it up down here. You know, because then that can support that end. It's supposed to get skinnier as it goes up. Let's see, let's make this wider to cover some of that white on the canvas. Which means this has all got to be a lot wider. So I'm just going through and adjusting some stuff. And since that got wider, this has got to be a lot wider. This tree's growing on me. It might take up the whole painting here before long. And we'll just make those kind of come together. That kind of looks better anyway. I like that little shape in there. Happy accident. That worked out good. Yeah, I kind of like the way that looks now. Okay. And then I'm going to make this a little wider too. I think that'd look better if it was kind of wider. Big old tree or something, you know, fell down in the water, or branches growing down in the water or something. I don't. Anything could be happening here. Kind of like them big old dark shapes. Put a few skinnier branches coming down off that. Just make sure they all kind of are like directional arrows leading to your subject, which is the crappie right there. That's the subject. That's the other one's going to be the secondary subject, or secondary focal point, whatever you want to say. I don't like the way these little smaller branches look here coming off there. Okay. That's looking pretty good. Let's block in our fish now. Let me get me a smaller brush. Not too much smaller though. Always get a brush, especially in the block in stage. Get a brush that seems like it's bigger than what you need. That way you stay loose. I'm going to block these fish in more yellowish, I guess. So I'm using our zinc white, a lot of lemon yellow, and a lot of transparent yellow oxide. And I just want to go through here and let's get the main body of the fish in first. So his main body kind of goes like this. He's sleeping with the fishes. I'm a redneck, so I don't have too good of an Italian mob voice. If anybody knows how to talk with an Italian mob voice, leave it in the comments. Whatever you do, just don't tell me you're in the mob. I don't want to know. Might be a redneck, but I'm not that stupid. All right, I'm just kind of throwing this fish's body in here real fast, and I might have to adjust him a little bit at the end if I think something looks amiss. Let's see, right here his nose kind of does a reverse curve and comes back. Almost needs to sweep down a little bit more. This actually almost looks like it needs to hump up a little bit more. And this part in here almost looks like it's too thick. So I'm going to try to get that out. That looks like it needs to be a little bit thinner. Okay. There we go. That might look all right. That part looks thin to me. We can always adjust it thicker later. All right, and I'm just blocking in this nice kind of yellowish color. We can throw all of our darks, and I'm going for the neutral color, then I can throw in the darks and the lights later. Okay, what am I doing here? All right, this fin kind of comes down like that and then does a big fan circular thing up this way. And then it kind of tapers off back down to his body. I got some reference photos I pulled off the internet, and then I'm just, because I don't have any underwater, I don't have an underwater camera, so I never took a picture of a crappie. So what I'm doing is I'm rearranging them and putting them in a different environment than what the photo or the photo I got off the internet's in. Switching up the underwater scape of the environment and everything. So that way I'm not copying the photo is what I'm getting at. You don't want to copy a photo. If you can use a reference photo, just don't copy it. You're losing all of your artistic license doing it that way. Not to mention it's illegal. If you want to sell it, it's illegal because you copied the photo. All right. And let's see if we can just kind of put a circular thing right there for his eye for right now, just to kind of a placeholder for his eye. They got pretty big eyes compared to their body. Crappie. Okay, that's a pretty good block in for that crappie. Now let's do the other crappie that's turning the other direction, and he's going to be farther back in the painting. And I almost lost like the whole structure of his body, so we'll just kind of wing it and put that one back in. So since he's further back there, I don't want to make him as big. And his tail is kind of curving back the other way. I kind of like that, so I'm going to try to get that implied in there. And I want him back, like he's back behind this big branch coming out here in the water. And then he's got a fin down here on the bottom. All right, and I'm going to throw his eye in there, kind of a placeholder. Big old eye. Actually, his eye might be that might be up too high, so let's kind of rub that out. There, that's better. All right. So we got the two crappie blocked in. I did want a branch. I kind of don't like the way I had that branch going, though, now that I look. Let's have a branch kind of going this way in front of that crappie, because that further sets that crappie back. And these branches are just going to kind of disappear into the bed of the lake or whatever they're in. Okay, and then I also want, I'm trying to decide here now, do I want some grasses? I think I want to try to imply a few grassy things sticking up back here in the back, because I think that'll really look kind of cool in the painting. So I'm just going to put some strokes back here, and these are going to be really distorted when I put the light, like the light rays over. So you don't have to make these detailed, you just kind of want some strokes back in there that look, you know, like grasses and stuff happening. Nothing too big. Let some of them kind of go over them limbs coming down here into the ground underneath the water. Some of them go behind, or behind the limbs. Some of them are in front. And then I can put, see, I can put a couple of them right here, just kind of stop the eye from this limb taking your eye clear off the painting. Something, you know, like that happening here in the foreground or something. All right, I'm going to step back and take a gander at that. Okay, I like the way that's going. I think that's going to be a pretty cool painting. Okay, right now I'm going to let this dry, and we'll come back later in another session and add some more to it. Until then, Christ is King and Paine is out.